Hey everyone, so today I'm at our southern bin location here. We just wrapped up planting a few days ago, and we've been pretty busy the last 2-3 weeks or so. When planting season's going on, we kind of neglect the barnyards quite a bit. So as you can see, the grass is quite tall behind me here, around the bins and pretty much everywhere. So I got the Ferguson all hooked up on the flail mower now, the 235, ready to start cutting some lawn. It's pretty bad, but yeah, we're gonna see if we can get all this mowed yet today. So, gonna get this mowed and then take the 235 home, and same goes for that place up at the home farm. The grass is getting pretty tall up there too. Got Grandpa's old Massey Ferguson 235 with the John Deere flail mower. I would say this is kind of in between a finish mower and a brush hog, somewhere in the middle there. So it's a bit heavier duty than a finish mower, and I don't have to worry about hitting stones or anything like that to a certain extent. I'm just pretty slow going with this thing. Well, actual lawnmower would be probably faster. But the grass is so tall, maybe not. That and going around the buildings, I would see where a lawnmower would be a little bit nicer. But this is great for kind of all around farmyard stuff and mowing lanes and ditches and everything else. So that's why we keep this thing around. It still does a nicer cut, I think, compared to a brush hog. There really isn't much grass here that needs to be mowed. It'll probably take me more time to weed whack around everything because this is so big. It's hard to get in a lot of the tight spots around the buildings and everything. So I probably spend just as much time, if not more, weed whacking around the buildings and grain bins and everything than I do actually mowing. that's where maybe a lawnmower would also come in handy. You can squeeze in a couple spots better. Well, I got the mowing done around the bin site here. It's behind me here. But as you can see, there's still quite a bit of weed whipping to do. The gas can's empty for the weed whacker, so I'm gonna hold off on that today. But I'm gonna get this home and see if we can mow the roadside ditches and around the barnyard up at the house now. So we're gonna fast forward here probably a week now. I noticed that the flail mower wasn't doing a very nice job. In fact, the next morning when I was looking at it, it didn't look good at all. I haven't done the blades on this last year, and maybe not even the year before that. So the blades are getting pretty dull on this. Every once in a while, I'll replace one if I end up breaking one or losing one. That's common with these. But yeah, it's been a minute since I replaced the blades, and they are pretty dull. This is what an old one looks like. Old versus new. What are you doing, bud? Who? Mr. Austin. What are you doing? Peekaboo. You got a little milk beard going on. So this is what it looks like underneath. You just got this drum under here and it just spins around. So I'm gonna do all of them, and I am reusing like the D-rings and stuff unless they're really wore, but I couldn't really tell how bad of a job I was doing until like the next morning. You have this roller here that kind of presses the grass down after you cut it. So the next morning it kind of pops back up, and yeah, it looked pretty shaggy the next day. So your face is all dirty. So I'm beginning to notice a pattern of me taking these apart is I'm stripping just about every single bolt. I was planning on doing one at a time as I go, you know, take one apart, put it back together, and keep going along. But yeah, I don't have enough 3/8 2-inch long bolts. So I think what I'm gonna do is just pull them all apart, and then I'll have to go find a box of bolts somewhere. I was finding a handful in our bolt bin, but definitely don't have enough to do this whole thing. So I'm just gonna pull them all apart and have to put it back together after I get a box of bolts. Some of these lock nuts are so mushroomed from getting beat around and hitting rocks and whatever else. I can barely get my end wrench on some of them to hold them. I might have to end up cutting some off, but all right, so I got everybody off, and now begins the process of putting everything back together. I am starting to regret my decision of doing this while it's still hooked up to the tractor, sitting on the jack stands. Probably would have been a lot smarter to unhook it and just flip it over on the floor, and then I wouldn't be sitting under it. And I would stay a lot cleaner and more comfortable for just a couple extra steps. But I'm almost done now, so I'm gonna continue doing what I'm doing.
motocross track is looking pretty sad with 6-8 foot tall trees growing on it anymore. I typically only mow this once or twice a year anymore. It just doesn't get used like it used to back when me and my brother were teenagers. Well, I'm finally back at our bin site, and as you can see behind me, everything's overgrown around the buildings. Desperately needs to be weed whacked and cleaned up, and the flail mower's still up at the house, but I already kind of need to remow the lawn even. Yeah, that gets old. At this point in time, I'm almost done, finally, but it's not the weed whacking that's kind of annoying, it's the reloading the weed whip twine and refueling. I think this is like the 5th or 6th time I've stopped. I've only been weed whipping for a good hour and a half. So yeah, the thick weeds really eat up the weed whip twine, and yeah, I keep burning through gas quite a bit too. Keep in mind that the weed whacker only holds so much, but usually every 10-15 minutes it seems like I'm reloading. So well, I got most of the weed whipping done around the grain bins now, so it took a while. I've been here for a couple hours now. I brought down the Ferguson right after I got done mowing up at the house this morning. Yeah, brought this down, so the lawn already needs to be remowed from what I mowed about a week and a half ago. But as I said before, wasn't doing that good of a job, so we'll mow it with the new blades, and it should last a little bit longer and look a lot nicer. But got a little more weed whipping to do on the one side of the pole barn, and I'm gonna get this unloaded and start mowing. But I think that's gonna do it for this video. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.